If you're watching this video, let's be real, you probably don't look how you want to look.
Believe me, I know the feeling all too well.
I mean, especially compared to now, I was so out of shape, it was ridiculous. But thanks to that experience, I now consider myself an expert on body transformation. My name's Thomas, and in the past 3 years, I completely 180'd my life. I went from fat, depressed, out of shape, to jacked, doing very well for myself, fulfilled, and helping guys like me, who just aren't where they want to be, navigate through the trials and tribulations of achieving similar results. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the biggest mistake I made while I was dieting. If you're overweight, or you spend a lot of time in your life overweight, it becomes really easy to be almost scared of food. And especially in the first half of my dieting process, I found it really easy to get into these periods of starvation and binging. I found it very difficult to wrap my head around bulking. In fact, last year in February, I had fully planned to continue dieting down. However, if you look at photos of me, and this is especially apparent if you compare them to pictures of me now, I just quite frankly didn't have the muscle mass in order to get shredded and get that aesthetic muscular physique that I was aspiring for. If you've made enough progress in your weight loss to get from fat to skinny fat or even skinny, first of all, congratulations, because a lot of people do not have the discipline in order to get there. But second of all, if you continue to just keep cutting, you're not going to look how you want to look. Odds are you probably have distorted body image. You probably feel a lot fatter than you actually are because for the longest time you were that fat. What I'm saying here is you need to internalize the fact that you're not the person you once were. You need to bulk. If you want to actually make progress in a timely manner, don't fuck around with main gaining or trying to recomp or any of that bullshit. If I didn't just suck it up and bulk, I wouldn't be where I am now. Here's another way to put it that really made it make sense for me. You have to take that same willpower that you're using to diet down, and instead of allocating it and applying it into tolerating your low calories, you need to apply it to tolerating the fact that it's probably going to take you longer to look how you want to look, and for the time being, it's not even worth it to lose more weight, and you just need to increase your calories and focus on building muscle mass. As long as you're fairly conservative with your approach, while you're bulking, you'll probably end up looking continuously better, especially if you don't have that much muscle mass to begin with. In my first bulk, I even made a lot of mistakes and fell into the trap of binging and going way too hard on the calories and junk food because I'd been restricted for so long. I was in a deficit for so long, and as a result, I was really far from my genetic potential. In other words, as soon as I started bulking, ridiculous newbie gains kicked in. This is especially the case if you're used to cutting. You're going to be shocked with how much muscle mass you're actually able to put on in a caloric surplus. Of course, make sure you're eating clean and getting in a good amount of protein, but really just wrap your head around the fact that gaining weight is not a bad thing. There's a reason why professional bodybuilders that use their bodies as a means to make money bulk and cut. It's the most efficient way to go about things. So if you've been losing weight for a while, and this is especially the case if you're new to training, or you've never actually gone on a caloric surplus while applying resistance training, really the best thing for you to do is going to be to bulk. If it were a perfect world, everyone would start out somewhat skinny fat or skinny and be able to bulk as soon as they start training. This really is the most efficient way to go about making the most progress, starting out skinny and bulking up to build that muscle. While of course you can put on some muscle in a caloric deficit, the way I see it, if everyone in the gym could start out bulking, everyone would have a shredded aesthetic body a lot faster. You need to take an honest look at yourself and think, do I actually have the muscle mass to look how I want to look at the end of my cut or weight loss period? Assess how much fat you actually have. You need to look at this objectively and make sure you're not mentally distorting your body image, and just consider, can I put up with having this amount of fat on my body for the next 4 to 6 months? You may begin to realize, I actually don't have the amount of muscle I'd like to have. And you know what? Now, I actually don't look so bad. I think I can put up with bulking for a little while, especially considering I'm going to look better throughout it because I'm going to be putting on muscle the entire time. If you take the discipline it takes to cut and apply it to bulking, and you gain a good amount of muscle and mitigate your fat gain, the increased muscle underneath your fat is going to stretch that fat out and make you look leaner. In other words, in some cases, you can reduce your body fat percentage while you're bulking. Now, I'm not going to lie, decreasing your body fat percentage while you're bulking is quite rare. However, we can at least maintain it, and that way, when you actually have the amount of muscle mass you want, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to get the body fat percentage you want when you're cutting. That's because you're going to be able to burn more calories just at rest with that added muscle mass, and just having more lean tissue is part of the formula when you're looking at your body fat percentage. Whether you're bulking or cutting, you're making progress towards your goals either way, which sounds obvious, but when I was obese, this was actually kind of hard for me to understand. I personally love food, so it was almost like too good to be true. Like, you're telling me I can eat more and make better progress. In my head, I was like, yeah, you can go fuck yourself. I'm just gonna keep cutting because you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Look at me, I'm obese. But if you want that aesthetic body, at some point you have to build that contractile tissue, and it's not gonna happen during a cutting phase. One of my favorite quotes is, you don't deserve to cut. Trust me, you're probably not even gonna be able to get abs if you are skinny. I had the same mindset at one point. I was like, well, if I'm skinny, at least I'll have abs. No, you're not. You're not going to be able to get lean enough because you literally don't have the physical mass underneath the fat to reveal. A great analogy is sculpting. It's kind of like trying to chisel down something that's hollow. Like, sure, you can peel off those layers, but there's literally nothing underneath there. Now that you're officially a professional bulker like me, fuck you doing? Get out of here. Go eat some chicken and rice.